and symbolic exchange of the 1913 Wanamaker expedition of citizenship to the North American Indian. So, sorry, would you like to start the timer now?
Go.
Okay. Nothing takes it out of you like a long day spent in the hot Oklahoma sun. I'm not complaining though. 6 years after the economic panic in 1907, I'm getting paid to travel across the country in a luxury Pullman railcar as the expedition's official stenographer. Now that's dandy. You know, when I was a boy, my father got to explore exotic places abroad when he fought in the Spanish-American and Philippine-American wars. Now we're turning inwards, and I get to explore the exotic culture of the North American Indian by visiting every one of the 169 Indian tribes across the Wild West. No expedition, not even the leader of this excursion, Dr. Dixon's first two back in 08 and 09, have matched the magnitude of this Rodman Wanamaker expedition of citizenship to the North American Indian. We started back in Philadelphia on the 7th of June, and it's hard to believe we are already halfway across the country. By train, this 20,000-mile trip will be over in only 6 short months. Spectacular. You know, when I was a boy, the Indians in my Buffalo Bill dime novels captivated me. I was shocked that such a foreign, savage culture could exist in the same country I was living in. But now the once abundant red man is vanishing fast. That's why I couldn't be more proud to be on this expedition. One of our goals is to photograph the red man in order to document and explore his culture before it disappears. The passing of a culture is sad, but inevitable. Both races can't coexist. It's destined that the strongest one, the white man's, will eventually outcompete the weaker red man's. His vanishing will not go unnoticed, though, thanks to the patronage of Mr. Rodman Wanamaker. His dad founded the first department store in Philadelphia, the Wanamakers. Anybody can buy just about anything there. It's a new era of consumerism. Now Rodman is living the American dream and can pursue his philanthropic goal of helping the Indian. In fact, Dixon and Rodman have already made plans for a grand memorial to the Indian race that Dixon says will be larger than the Statue of Liberty. The groundbreaking ceremony was all over the news back in February. Rodman, President Taft, even details of the Army were present at Fort Wadsworth in New York, standing alongside 32 weather-worn Indian chiefs in their buckskin tunics and feathered bonnets. The ceremony began when Rotund President Taft broke ground with an ancient Indian axe. Ha! That was a sight to see. Afterwards, all the chiefs hoisted an American flag up the pole, signed the Declaration of Allegiance that they wrote, and proclaimed their sincere and profound patriotism. This inspired Dixon and Rodman to begin this third expedition, which is also backed by the progressive President Woodrow Wilson himself. On top of exploring Indian culture, our goal is to encounter every tribe in America in order to foster patriotism and assimilation in every red man. Boy, the farther west we go, the hotter, drier, and more desolate it gets. Transcribing the speeches of the flag ceremony is second nature for me now, and I think I understand more clearly the exchange Dr. Dixon is fostering. See, currently the red man is transitioning to our superior culture. His land has been divided into individual farming plots through the Dawes Act of 1887 to foster a more American family structure. His kids have been sent to boarding schools to learn our language, and his traditional tribal ways are no more. Similar to how we are dealing with the recent influx in European immigrants, we are Americanizing the original Americans. All of this is for the best, but the red man is still wary of our government due to these recent rough land and military relations. Then he encounters Dixon and our wondrous flag ceremony. We come representing the government not for war, not for land, but for brotherhood. Through granting each tribe an American flag, we honor them as a part of this nation. In exchange for the flag and honor, each tribe pledges their loyalty to America by signing this Declaration of Allegiance. You know, I think Dixon said it best. The American Indian ought to be eternally loyal to the flag and dedicate themselves to the better homes, better farms, and better schools it represents. What's also exciting is the expedition's in the paper all the time. Dr. Dixon's theatrics sure are keeping the public engaged in the red man's plight. However, I'm beginning to doubt the doctor's character. Exaggerations come to him as easy as breathing, and some things he says are very misleading. For instance, today, Pueblo Governor Pablo Abeda was hesitant to sign the declaration. He appreciated the flag, but wasn't ready to pledge his loyalty due to past treatment. Dr. Dixon convinced Pablo to sign by telling him that if he did, the government would help his tribe. Yet, the government never promised to do such a thing. I fear that Dr. Dixon's desire of having all tribes sign and his need for publicity are his driving factors, not the welfare of the Indian. Regardless, some Indians actually already do have citizenship through accepting their allotments in severalty, marrying whites, or paying taxes. Hopefully, when we return, President Wilson will see that the Indian is loyal to this country and support giving all of them the citizenship they deserve. Well, it's about time. The American Indian Citizenship Act passed. Now all Indians will receive citizenship. Boy, have things changed. After the final flag ceremony at Fort Wadsworth in December of 1913 brought the expedition full circle, we all went our separate ways. Dixon went to lecture the public on his explorations, and I landed a job here in Philadelphia as reporter for the Public Ledger. What with the backings of business magnates J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, and the rest of the wealthy Committee of 100, I thought for sure the Grand Indian Memorial would be built, and they would receive citizenship immediately. But the Indians' plight was quickly set aside when Germany marched through Belgium in 1914 to invade France. Even though we re-elected dovish President Wilson, America still entered the Great War in 1917. So I followed in my father's footsteps and enlisted. Upon being deployed, I was shocked to meet a few American Indians fighting alongside me. How could they bear the disease and death of the trenches for a country in which they didn't even have citizenship? You know, one such young man was Corbett White. He was from Red Rock, Oklahoma, no doubt a Cherokee. And when I asked him why he enlisted, his story left me speechless. He said, years ago, a group of white men came to his tribe, presented them with a flag, and asked for loyalty in exchange. Then when war broke out, the two elder keepers of the flag hoisted up the pole and called upon the young men of the tribe to enlist and defend the country. I was dumbfounded. Corbett was next to me, fighting loyally for this country, all because of a symbolic exchange the expedition introduced years ago. When we won the war, no doubt a victory facilitated by the Choctaw Telephone Squad's help on the Western Front, I returned home and discovered over 40 tribes responded to a patriotic sentiment survey sent out by Dixon early in the war, saying that they too would fight for this country because of the expedition. And boy, did they ever. Over 12,000 American Indians enlisted, half of whom volunteered. And during the war, they integrated seamlessly into the general military culture and did not have segregated regiments like the Negroes. Many viewed this as a successful demonstration of the Indians' ability to assimilate into society. So now, with the public on board and looking for reform, as well as in recognition of the Indians' high participation and loyalty exhibited in World War I, Congress has finally granted citizenship to all American Indians. I can't believe it. After all I read about the expedition in my great-grandfather's diaries, I finally get to see a recreation of a real Pullman railcar he spent months in back in 1913. Wow, there's one of the original flags. You know, because of the expedition, American flags, songs, and salutes have become a routine feature of Native American tribal meetings and powwows. Some tribes even declared an annual holiday on the day that Dixon visited. Speaking of Dixon, he and his colleagues took over 11,000 photos while exploring Indian culture on the expedition, including these three. You know, Dixon sounds like quite the character, promoting Native Americans as a vanishing race and all. What an absurd idea! They were just transforming, struggling to find their place in the midst of oppressive policies that stripped them of their culture and pushed them into a cycle of poverty. Upon gaining citizenship, many natives were satisfied, including the Society of the American Indian. But some Indian nations, such as the Iroquois, thought it was absurd that a nation could impose citizenship on another sovereign nation. Furthermore, even after gaining citizenship, it took years to gain the right to vote, with Maine being the last state to enfranchise Native Americans in 1967. Tribal nations today still face land violations, resource issues, high rates of incarceration, and countless more ailments. The exploration, encounter, and symbolic exchange of the Rodman Wanamaker expedition of citizenship to the North American Indian did in fact set the stage for citizenship, but many Native Americans still struggle with the legacy of inequality that even citizenship couldn't fix for them. Thank you.